Welcome to Metal Vice, a podcast where we talk about all things music.
Well, the things we care about.
That's right, which is mainly metal music and live music. I'm your host, Brian, joined with your other host,
Karen.
And Karen, what is today's topic about?
Sepultura, 40th anniversary.
Yeah, well, so yes, their 40th anniversary and also their farewell tour. I think this is their last tour. Right. The tour name is Celebrating Life Through Death, North America Farewell Tour 2024. They announced this last year or so that they were going to like break up and do one final tour. That's lasted like a year and a half, 2 years now. Because I think they did South America first, then maybe Europe, and now they're in North America, or North America, then they're going to go to Europe. But something like that where they're bouncing around a bit.
Yeah.
Because when they first announced it, they didn't announce like a North American tour, and I was like, oh, but they will. They'll definitely come through here, and sure enough, they did. Joining Sepultura in support, we got Obituary, Agnostic Front, and Claustrofobia. Tickets for this also were $33.50 with $9.26 in fees and a whopping 40 cents in tax. This was held at Concord Music Hall here in Chicago.
Yep.
This was also the first tour, or first show of the tour.
It was, yes, yeah. Which isn't, we normally don't see the first show.
Yeah, I was trying to think
very
if
often.
We've ever seen a first show of a tour.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. No, I don't.
We've seen a few lasts.
Yeah.
Like we saw Lamb of God and like Ashes of Leviathan and 3 Days Grace. That was one that we saw the last of the show or the tour.
Yeah.
Maybe a few others as well.
Yeah.
We saw the Disturbed release party, so that's not really the first of a tour.
But that's not a tour, yeah.
Right. That was just like a one-off show that they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we've seen... Oh, we did see Disturbed as the last as well.
Did we?
In Milwaukee, when they added Milwaukee that one time.
That was the last of that show?
Yeah.
The tour? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. I forgot about that then. But
anyway,
yeah, the first for not, like, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
And not that it showed during this show, but there were definitely some technical difficulties that I think they were working out some of the kinks and whatnot. So that's kind of cool to, like, experience that for the first, like, all right, we're getting our legs under us a little bit here.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like, I was like, oh, they had amp problems, and the first song of Claustrofobia, they didn't have the guitar hooked up right, and just like little things that happened, and almost every band had it. Not just Claustrofobia,
and not being like it's the first show that like, they're gonna work out the kinks, like they're all professionals and whatnot, but this, like shit still happens, and like amps are gonna break throughout the tour, and shit's gonna happen throughout the tour, but I personally would have always thought that would have happened early on in the tour as well. Then as you go on and on, you start getting the rhythm and like, okay. Yeah. Even though you're professional, like I do the same thing. Like I fuck up when I first wake up in the morning and start doing my job. Like that's where you're going to fuck up the most, right? So,
sure.
I don't know. It was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
In any case, we don't have a set list for Claustrophobia. There wasn't one on Setlist FM, so we don't know their stuff. This is our first time seeing them.
Yeah.
They came out, and to me, there was a very, very heavy thrash element to it and felt very thrashy. And I fucking loved it right away. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I think it was after they got done, you looked it up or something, you're like, oh, it's death thrash. Because you thought in your head, you're like, oh, it's death metal and thrash metal mixed together.
Yeah, no, I got that vibe right away. I was like, oh, this is like, they have the death metal sound, but then they have the thrash elements of the guitars and stuff. I was like, this is really cool. Like, so I looked it up on Wikipedia just to see, and I was like, yes, my ears caught it.
You're getting better at that.
Yeah. Not that, I mean... We always say, like, we never want to genreize anything, but it was a very well melded thrash and death metal together.
Yeah. And to me, I guess, for the most part, when I think of death metal, I think of thrash. Like, thrash with, like, the deep, harsh vocals or, like, the growly type vocals. To me, that's more death metal. Like, I don't know. I've always got that vibe, but I understand that they are different things, but at the same time, this was a great melding, as you said, and it just... I loved their set so much. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, me too.
I wish they had the set list up on Setlist FM so we can add it, but they don't, so we're not going to add it. But it is one I'm going to check out again.
I was going to say, we'll have to keep checking to add them to the playlist.
Yeah, I'm going to start adding their vinyl to like our collection, our like wish list and whatnot.
Yeah. And they did mention, I didn't look anything up besides their genre, but they did mention that they're also from Brazil as well.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
You went to the restroom.
Not during their set, did I, at that time? I may have. I can't remember.
By me, so I think that's what you did.
Interesting. I don't remember that. All right.
Yeah. So they mentioned that they were like just really grateful to be asked to be on the tour with Sepultura. They're idols. I mean, and they're from Brazil as well.
Yeah, you don't think of. I don't know. That to me, I love finding out about bands in different countries that's where they came from. Like Brazil, Sepultura. I found out about that last time we saw them. Gojira is another one where they tell you they're from France. Like, oh shit, I would have never guessed. Listening to their music, once you hear them talking, kind of pick up the accent and whatnot. Sweden, everybody's fucking from Sweden apparently. Yeah. But I love finding out when they're from different countries because I don't think about that. But there are a lot of big bands out there all over the world that you just
we don't hear about. Yeah, especially I mean here in the United States, I guess you do hear about them every once in a while, but it's more like this, like with openers and that sort of thing, where you find out about bands from other countries.
Yeah, where they're from is sort of like an afterthought or a secondary thought, not necessarily like the forefront of your mind, right? Rammstein's like the only one where you're like, oh, they're German, but that's because they sing in German and not in English.
The Who. I'm always like the Who from the Mongolian metal band.
Same thing though, right? They're singing in their native tongue instead of in English. And I do wish more bands would do stuff like that, like Portuguese. Sing in Portuguese for me, please. That'd be fucking awesome. I think they may have had one track that they did sing in Portuguese.
Sings in Portuguese.
They have one too, yeah.
Claustrophobia may have.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
But I would love to have more of like more non-English speaking metal music out there.
Yeah.
But in any case, I still fucking love their set. Then they're going to be on the list of keep an eye out for sure for me.
Yeah, they were great. I don't know if they've toured the U.S. before.
I don't know. Yeah.
I honestly, I was going to check more into them, but then I kind of forgot before we recorded this. So.
No, super awesome band. I can't wait to see them again and just even dive deeper into their catalog.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty quick set for them, just on and off. They were the first opener. It's 4 bands. Started at like 7 p.m. or something like that. So you got to like turn this shit out. Otherwise, you're going to be there till like 1 a.m. But we'll find out if that happened. Any case, Agnostic Front's our next band. Again, we don't have a set list for them. They are hardcore, New York hardcore.
You could tell it was hardcore. I mean,
you could definitely tell it was hardcore. Yeah. It was kind of funny though when they came out to do like the set change, like we were tearing down the drum kit for Claustrofobia and bringing out the Agnostic Front drum kit. Stigma, I guess the guitar player for Agnostic Front, came out, and as he walked out with his guitar, the crowd just starts cheering Stigma.
Yeah.
And like you just saw the giant grin on his face, like shake his head a couple times, because then he would walk over off the stage, plug his guitar in to do like sound check and whatnot, and then he'd come back out on stage and the crowd would cheer Stigma again, and he would just like grin and like shake his head like, oh, this is awesome. And it was so much fun to see that interaction, see him just like smile and like enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, New York hardcore. And if you had told me, like if you asked me about hardcore, I would tell you I'm not a big fan of hardcore music. I really am not.
Yeah, I think I've said that multiple times. I'm not a fan of hardcore music.
Yeah. But some of it's starting to grow on me, honestly. I liked their set a lot, and I liked their sound a lot. And this band, Agnostic Front, they're from New York. They're hardcore. We said that a million times already, or a couple times already. But to me, they sound so much like Anthrax. They have such a similar sound to Anthrax.
I could see that, yes.
And it's weird that they're considered New York hardcore. And Anthrax has always felt weird to me as well. I know they're one of the big 4 of thrash metal, but I don't get that big of a thrash vibe from them. They do have some thrash elements.
They're not one of the big 4.
Yeah, they are.
It's
they? Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax.
Oh.
Those are the big 4 of thrash metal.
I wouldn't consider them big 4.
Right. They have thrash elements for sure.
Yeah.
But they're sort of the outlier for me of like,
yeah.
Really? Like, yes, there's thrash, but it's more punky and more. They've been more experimental with their branching out into other genres. They include hip hop stuff. They include hardcore elements. They include thrash elements. Like Anthrax is just sort of all over the place for me, and it's not a bad thing. It's just when I think of thrash metal, I know they're a member of the big 4, but to me, it's like, but really, they sounded very similar to Agnostic Front, and those two to me are like. Yeah, they're more hardcore than they are thrash, I would say. But at the same time, like New York hardcore is a thing, right? It's a sort of a subgenre of a subgenre type thing, right?
Yeah.
And clearly they're taking from each other and taking inspiration from each other and learning from each other, and like, you know, that's where they developed their sound, was probably back in the day together, working on this shit in the clubs in New York and just like always going to see their shows and whatnot. So that was the first thing I thought about Agnostic Front. I really, really liked them. I liked their set. I liked their sound. I liked the energy. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot. It was so cool.
That's good that they were my least favorite of the night. But
were they? Okay.
Yeah, I just wasn't into it. But then again, I'm not into hardcore hardly ever, like never. So
yeah.
I think that was just the turn off to me. And the Stigma persona was a turn off to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just, out of the 5 members of I think it was 5 members of the band, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. I just felt that out of the 5 members of the band, it was like he was the main focus, which I understand sometimes that's how it is. Like one person is more of a focus or whatever. And it's kind of like, that's all I could focus on is him and not necessarily the band as a whole. So that was just my personal
I gotcha.
thought of it. And I just, it was a turn off to me.
Gotcha.
Just the persona that he had, which whatever. I mean, everybody has their little thing, and it was just not my thing. So
yeah, interesting. I don't know much about the background of the band. I'm wondering if he was like maybe one of the only founding members left of the band that's up there, and it's sort of like he started it. And even if he's not, like maybe he's like, yeah, definitely one of the founders. So he's like thinking of Metallica, right? He's the James and the Lars of the band, or one of those two, right?
Yeah, and he could be something, or it could have been in maybe a different band or something, and just a different persona. But I don't know. That was just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fine. He did come out and play in the middle of the pit. That was kind of fun to see.
Yeah, until he went back to the stage and the security around him was awfully rude to the people in the crowd.
Really?
Yeah, like walking out, it was fine. Like just walked out like in between people like normal, and then going back, like one of the security guys like put his arms out like this and like pushed against everybody. And one guy even turned around and kind of looked like, what the fuck? And it's like, you don't need to push people out of the way. Like people would move.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I guess I get that too. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I think just my whole perception of the whole interaction just turned me off of the band.
Gotcha. Because of that one interaction type thing.
No,
or just the whole stigma.
That I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And I don't care for hardcore music, so I couldn't get into it. So.
And like, I'm not a big hardcore fan either. Like I said, it's starting to grow on me, especially the like New York hardcore, the older sort of hardcore music that we've heard a lot lately. There was a lot at Milwaukee Metal Fest this year that I got into a little bit. Some of the newer age hardcore music that's out there, I think I can't name any. Like Knocked Loose is a newer, I would say, is a newer hardcore. Not the biggest fan of that, but again, it's starting to grow on me a little bit. And there's a bunch of other hardcore bands out there. I'm struggling to think. There's the one with Kitty. Was that Victims?
Victims, yeah.
I really wasn't a fan of but again, I don't remember their show that much because of the way the lighting was and everything like that.
Yeah, hardcore pits turned me off too.
Yeah, like the two-stepping or I call it the karate kid type shit.
Two-stepping's fine. I think that's actually really cool.
Isn't that where they're like throwing the punches and shit?
No, two-stepping's where you like kind of dance like this.
Oh,
like,
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
But like, I mean, maybe it's both. But like, yeah, when you like throw punches and shit, I don't like that. So we kind of educate ourselves a little bit with some YouTube videos potentially on what two-stepping is. We may be wrong, but without the flailing arms and punches and kicks.
Yeah, when I think of hardcore pit, I definitely think of like the Karate Kid type shit, right? Where you're jumping around and doing like kicks in the air and you're like punching the air and you're flailing your arm behind your head like that. Two-stepping, no, it's more contained. You're down, like just kicking your legs back a little bit and punching your arms down a little bit and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I get that.
I think that's cool because I think especially if you do it to the beat and stuff, like, I mean, it's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm not into like the flailing arms and stuff.
The Karate Kid shit, I'm getting more, not necessarily comfortable with, but I'm understanding it more, especially after Milwaukee Metal Fest and seeing like, oh no, you just get your spot and you do actually pay attention to what's going around. At least the people I see, the people I respect the most doing it are like, they're watching, they're taking care of themselves. They're not running into like the crowd itself or the barrier of the pit and punching into the pit. It's more of like, I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to do my Karate Kid routine, and then I'm going to step away, or somebody will come next to them and do it, but they'll like do it coordinated in a way, choreographed in a way. It does look pretty fucking cool. But then you do have the people who just like run into the crowd and start punching the crowd and whatnot. And it's like, fuck off. Like,
yeah.
You want to have fun. That's fun to you, getting like having somebody like hit you and shit. But there's a lot of people who just want to watch the music, and the pit opens around them, and here you are like running into it. So like, I don't know. I have your fun, but also be respectful of the people around you, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think recently I've noticed that I stand a little bit further back just because especially if I don't know the bands, I'm like, I don't want to be right up next to a pit like that. So I was like, I'll just stand back a little bit from that area.
And I've been noticing that style of pitting, like mosh pitting and whatnot, more and more recently. And to music, I don't think it fits for.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I don't know if that's just like what the new kids are doing now. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like
recently we have noticed that we're the old people at the shows.
But back in the day, it was more of the mosh pit that I like, where it's just the ping pong mosh pit, right? Where people are just running into each other and bouncing off each other and pushing each other, but not like punching or kicking each other. It's more of just like shoving, right?
Yeah.
And then you bounce into somebody, and that causes them to bounce into somebody. And as they bounce into somebody, that person was getting bounced in a different way. And it's just like this whole chain reaction type thing. I love those kind of pits. Those are so much fun, especially I've never been in one, but to stand on the outside of it, right? And those are the best pits for me. The circle pit is fucking lame as shit, in my opinion.
It's like you're in in elementary school, like, oh, run a mile.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Run a circle. This is so funny that this came up because today on Instagram I saw a video that was like the top 5 mosh pits or whatever.
Oh, really?
Or maybe it was circle pits. I can't remember, but it was basically like a lot of festivals, and like we were at one at like Open Air in 2016 where like multiple pits open, and like it just becomes like one big organism, like everybody's just moving, and so that's what most of them were like. But there was one from 2009. I'm trying to think of who the band was, but basically the vocalist was like, "Nah, I don't want to see any of that bullshit flinging arms shit.
Oh,
like,
really?
I want to see a mosh pit."
Okay.
So it's so funny that you just brought that up. So
interesting. All right.
I'm wondering if it is like a generational thing.
I don't know. Yeah. The other thing though with this set, getting back to the music a little bit.
Sorry. We went off on mosh pits.
We had talked about it's the first show of the tour and some technical difficulties. The changeover of the set, tearing it down and everything, it seemed normal in terms of like how long it took to tear down the stage and everything.
Sure.
But there was a lot of time spent over on stage right with Stigma's amp. He seemed to be struggling with the amp. It wasn't working. And I thought I heard them say over like the PA system back to the sound check booth or back to the front of house or something like, we're going to change out the amp head real quick, or we're going to change out the amp real quick because they were just having issues with the amp. Cool, let's change it out. Then it started, everything's going fine, good set, everything like that. But yeah, then Obituary changeover happens, and that again seemed like a pretty quick changeover. There wasn't anybody on stage for a little bit of time. They got the drum kit set up, they did some quick sound checks, and then it was sort of just not dead, just nobody on stage, nothing going on, no rumblings, no nothing. And then they start playing like the background music for like the intro or something. The lights dim, the band starts to come out, and the guitarist goes over to the amp over there, same amp basically, I think. I don't know if it was the same amp or not, but still had
area.
Yeah, still had issues with the amp, and they're fucking with it. Like there's like 3 or 4 people around it with flashlights, like tweaking shit and plugging shit in, unplugging shit. Trying to figure out this amp as the intro music is starting. Band comes out, intro music gets done, they're supposed to start playing, and they just sort of stop and stare at them, and they're still fidgeting with it, still working on it. The band was just sort of diddling a little bit, playing some riffs here and there, kind of left the stage, came back, like whatnot, just trying to kill some time. It felt like it was 15, 30 minutes delayed or something. I felt like.
I don't think it was that long, but it was delayed.
And it may have been a lot shorter, maybe like 10 or 15, but it felt forever that it took for get this thing working. And they finally got it working and just started playing right away and went into their intro music. And I guess that's a good part to bring up what they actually played for a set list. This is the first band of the 4 that we have for an actual set list, or so we think.
Yes, they started with Redneck Stomp, Threatening Skies, By the Light, The Wrong Time, Uncle Dave, Chopped in Half, Turned Inside Out, Solid State, War, Circle of the Tyrants, Dying of Everything, Slowly Rerocked.
Yeah, and we've seen them earlier this year, so I don't know how much of this is basically that same show that we saw. Yeah. I haven't added them to the set list yet because we just found it right before recording this. This is actually from the Colorado show.
Can you refresh my memory? Who did we see them with? Oh, Machine Fucking Head. Never mind.
No, did we see them with them? I don't think we did.
Who did we see them with?
It was definitely Amon Amarth, Cannibal Corpse, and Frozen Soul.
Oh, right.
And that was at the...
Who was with Machine Head?
Machine Head was Fear Factory and Orbit Culture. And was there a fourth? This is why we keep notes, people. Gates to Hell was with them.
Oh, right.
So no, that was not Machine Fucking Head.
Did we see Orbit Culture once with... Or not Orbit... Gosh. Did we see Obituary once with Machine Head? No?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so.
Any hoodles. I thought that we saw Obituary already at Concord this year. When we were seeing them, I was like, we just saw this show here. But we saw it in Madison.
Yeah, it was in Madison at the Sylvie. Is that what that's called?
I think so.
That new one that's up there by Live Nation and whatnot?
Yeah. Anyway, that was the thought I had was like, oh, we've already seen Obituary play here. But we hadn't.
No, we had not. We had not. But yeah, we saw them there, and I think we skipped their set at Milwaukee Metal Fest too, because we saw them last year at Milwaukee Metal Fest, and we had just seen them in Madison.
Oh, were they at Milwaukee Metal Fest?
They were. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were. If they were, we skipped their set to go see something different. I think.
I didn't think they were there this year.
I think they were. I can't remember. It's been there's so many bands.
I know. We're seeing way too many things.
In any case, really good set. I really like Obituary. They keep growing on me every time we see them.
Yeah, I think me too. Yeah, like even the first time we saw them with Lamb of God, I think I was like, holy fuck, this is like really good. And every single time it's always a blast.
And I was just more of like at that time. I liked it,
really?
But it wasn't like, oh my God, this is great. I think Baroness stole the show for me on that show. I know we have different opinions.
Let's not go on
that.
Let's not go on to that train again.
But yeah, every time I see them, it's like, oh my God, this is great. Oh my God, this is great. And it just gets better and better and better. So yeah, I loved it. It was great to see them again. But again, I don't remember this set versus, I haven't looked to see what the Madison set was like to see how different it was.
Yeah.
They basically played the same slot almost. Cannibal Corpse was above them in the Madison set, but I think they basically had the same time to play.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, maybe like one or two songs different.
It felt very similar.
It did. I'm just saying, like, it could have been.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, most of these songs are like 3 minutes long, so it could have been one song different.
And it really felt like a lot of people were there for Obituary. Like, even on the way there, we found a guy who like stopped us because I was wearing a Obituary shirt. I keep wanting to say Orbit Culture, but it's not. It's Obituary. It's the O's that are really fucking me up here. But Obituary, I was wearing an Obituary shirt, and we were walking to the venue, and a guy stops me, and he's like, do you know what time they're playing? They're the band I really want to see. And he wasn't wearing a band shirt or anything. It was like
a blue button, like a polo button.
Yeah, like he had just come from work or something.
Yeah. And maybe he did. Maybe he was like heading home or something.
There were a couple people there I saw that were in like polos and shit. They're like, oh, you just came from work. All right. You got to do what you got to do. So,
it was like 2017. We showed up in work
clothes.
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah. So. Now we get jobs where you can wear just band shirts. I do, not you. Any case.
2 days a week I get to wear whatever I want.
Any case, he was asking like, I don't want to miss them. What time are they going to go on? And we're trying to guess at like probably 8:30 or so. Yeah. They ended up going on 8:40, 8:50.
I thought it was almost 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock with like the time change. Well, not the time change, but like the amp issues and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe it was after 9 even. It was late.
Hopefully he got to make it. We told him 8:30, and I was really worried. I was like, fuck, if they... So good thing there were all these delays and shit. That way he hopefully got to make it. But a great fucking set. Crowd was super fucking into it. Which, they should be. They're fucking awesome to see. So
yeah, it was a good show. The one thing that I remember is like Concord is a pretty small venue, and they had their huge ass backdrop up. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
So the backdrop was behind everything, and it was black with red lettering. Of their logo, and like basically you couldn't see any of it because Concord isn't like. It's not a tall ceiling.
No.
So you can't like hang something. So basically all the amps and all Sepultura shit was on the stage in front of it. And it's like they were the only ones with like a backdrop, but you couldn't even see it.
I do remember that now because I remember seeing it early on in the night as well, and like, oh, are they going to raise that up or something? But no, it basically stood there.
Like you can't raise it up. Yeah. There's nowhere to do anything with it. Yeah. So it's like basically it's just there.
But they brought it on tour, so might as well put it up just in case.
Exactly.
Not shipping that thing around for no reason.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna put it up.
Yeah. Really good set. I want to see them again. I can't wait to see them again.
We will. Many times, probably.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. But then we get to Sepultura. Why don't you tell us what we had for a set list for them?
So they start with Refuse, Resist, Territory, Propaganda, Phantom Self, Breed Apart, Attitude. I never know how to say this word, but it's like Kairos, Means to an End, Guardians of Earth, Mind War, False, Choke, Escape the Void, Kawas, Dead Embryonic Cells, Agony of Defeat, Troops of Doom, Inner Self, Arise, and then they had an encore of Radayam Hata, and then they obviously ended with Roots, Bloody Roots.
So we left. You were very, very tired this night.
I was trying to figure out what we did. Like, why was I so tired?
I just don't think you slept well the night before.
Maybe.
Because I think you said you woke up at like 5 and you couldn't go back to sleep.
Yeah, I remember being... Yeah, I think I woke up at like 4:30 or something. Yeah, I do remember. And I remember even before leaving for the show when I got home from work, because I had to go to the office that day. And like before I actually got home, I was like exhausted. And they didn't even go on until after 10 o'clock, I think.
So the intro music, which started with War Pigs, started at 9:50.
Yes.
And I was like, God damn, this is late to start.
Yeah.
No technical difficulties now, at least that we saw.
Yeah.
But they started with that, and they had 3 intro songs, like War Pigs and a few other things. I can't remember what. But that was really cool because the crowd got really into War Pigs, as most times they do, right? Everybody sings it. Yeah. There's a few songs like that everybody in the crowd knows what it is. It's that. Backstreet Boys, for some fucking reason, everybody sings that. Backstreet's back. Yeah. All right. Whatever the fuck that's called.
Backstreet's Back, probably.
And then Bohemian Rhapsody are like the 3 that like everybody like for some reason knows. Well, not knows. 2 of the 3 makes sense. 1 out of the 3 is like, what the fuck's going on here?
Well, we all listened to them. They're like...
Not all of us.
8. Well, that's because you freaking listened to NSYNC.
No, I hated NSYNC at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but if I had to pick one, it would be NSYNC. Now growing up, and it's bye. Like, come on, that's so much better.
Any hoodles.
But yeah, that started at like 9:50, and I was like, shit, this is fucking late.
Yeah, we ended up leaving at like 11:15 or something.
It was right around 11 o'clock, and you looked up the set list from like Korea or something.
Yeah. And they had played 21 songs, which I think
24, I think.
24 songs. Yes, 24 songs.
And here was 21.
Yeah. And I was basically almost sleeping standing up. Like I was closing my eyes for most of it. So I basically told, like, it sucked leaving because this is probably the last time I'll ever see Sepultura.
More than likely, yeah, one of the last times. I mean, they could come back. Bands often comes back with their reunion tours and whatnot.
Yeah.
But this very well could be the last time we see them. And it's only our second time seeing them, too.
Yeah.
Our first time was like last year, I think.
2 years ago, I think, wasn't it?
Whenever Clash of the Titans was with Crater.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it was last year because they're back this year with a different band.
Oh, okay.
But in any case, it's relatively recent that we've seen Sepultura. I'm not the biggest fan of Sepultura, honestly. I like them a lot. They're good, but they're not like my, oh my God, Sepultura's in town type thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. I mean... No, I wanted to see Sepultura the first time just to see it, and then I don't think I would have even said like let's buy tickets to this, except for it was their like final tour.
Yeah, and we had just seen them too, so it's like all right, probably not. But yeah, no, you had looked up the set list, and I knew it was late. I knew you were tired. There was one song I wanted to hear.
Roots, Bloody Roots.
No.
Oh,
Just One Fix. Because they do a cover of Ministry's Just One Fix. And I knew you were tired. I knew you looked it up and kind of like shrugged and put it back in your pocket. And I said, give me your phone. Let me take a look at that. And I wanted to see what their set list was as well, just to see where that was, where that's in the set list, like how far off are we? And the Korean set list that you had, or whatever show it was, didn't have Just One Fix. And I kind of get that. It's like, this is their farewell tour. They're going to play their music. They're not going to play covers necessarily. But that was the song I knew them for. Roots, Bloody Roots, and Just One Fix were the two Sepultura songs that I actually knew of theirs.
Yeah. Roots, Bloody Roots is the only song I know.
And I was super excited for Just One Fix because I think this would have been the fourth time I heard that song live this year by the fourth different band. Yeah. I heard it with Ministry. I heard it with Metallica when they did their little doodle thing. This would have been one. I can't remember what the fourth is, but I swear to God there was a fourth band out there. And I'm just like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome to hear the same song played 4 different ways by 4 different bands. Like, I don't know, that would have been so cool for me to hear that. And when I saw it was on the set list, I was like, fuck, you're tired, you're ready to go. I'm fine with leaving now. Let's take off. They put on a good show, but again, the crowd seemed to thin out a little bit for me.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like, I was looking around. And the one thing that I thought of was, or that I have been thinking of even more, and I know I brought it up even more, is if you're in the suburbs and you took a metro, you have to leave.
We've ran into that going out to the burbs and missing the last metro because we misread the train the first time.
Yeah, I didn't know how to read those schedules.
And had to take an Uber back, which is $100 fucking. Yeah. So it's like, no, we're not doing that.
It was ridiculous. So, I mean, if that is the case, if people started leaving around 10, because around 10:30, I really noticed a lot of people leaving.
Which is only 30 minutes after their set started.
It is. But like I said, if you're trying to get that last metro out of the city, then you have to leave.
So that's a good point. We brought this up with other shows where it seems like there's a curfew at 10:30.
Yeah.
Maybe it's actually not a curfew, and maybe it's more of the last metro train leaves at that time, and we want to make sure people can get in and out.
Yeah, maybe. This was really weird to have 4 bands play and have Sepultura play for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And starting at 7 o'clock. That's what I was meaning. I forgot that part when I was saying it was weird. But having it start at 7 o'clock and having Sepultura play for 2 hours plus 3 other bands is just a really late show.
I'm torn on the whole 4-band concert thing. I grew up only seeing 3 bands per show.
It's been a long time since we saw 3 bands.
You see a 4-band show. It's really cool. I get that extra 4th band.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just feels weird sometimes, especially starting late. And like you said, Sepultura playing 2 hours. We left. I'm not 100%. Again, I don't know their catalog that well. I don't know where it was. So I don't know where we left in their set, but it was maybe halfway at most, maybe 2/3 of the way type place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely thinned out. I felt like, especially as the night went on and got later and later and later, more and more people left. And again, I think a lot of people were there for Obituary. I said it right this time. I almost struggled. But Obituary, they were there for Obituary. I'm going to say it again and again. Obituary. So I think a lot of people may have left after them as well. Not a lot, but I think they did. And then as the night went on again, it's like, all right, I was mainly here for Obituary. I'm going to start to piece out a little bit. I did enjoy their set. I did feel like there was a little bit too much crowd banter and dead time between tracks, which was a little frustrating, especially knowing that this is your farewell tour, and maybe that's it. We want to say goodbye. We want to get out here and just stand on stage and say thank you and say goodbye.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can do that by just playing some fucking music, and I don't need this crowd banter back and forth.
You're so hit and miss.
I am. I don't understand what it is. Sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. And this night I was not a fan of it. And maybe it was, I knew you were tired and I knew we weren't going to possibly stay for the whole thing. But if you just cut down what you're chatting about, there's more music I can hear.
Yeah, just play more music so that we can stay. I honestly wanted to stay till the end, mainly because I knew Roots, Bloody Roots was going to be the last song. It was the first Sepultura song I learned of them with or whatever, and I wanted to hear it, but I knew it was going to be the last song, and unfortunately I just couldn't stay up.
Yeah. It's a shame that we didn't stay, but I get why we didn't. And I'd say we'd see him again, but there's not a guarantee we will. The way it stands now, we won't, but I could see them coming back down the road. I mean,
potentially.
It is their 40th anniversary as well. They've been doing this for 40 fucking years. I can see them be like, all right, I'm done. I'm ready to just kick back and relax on the beaches of Brazil and hang out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what Brazil has. I'm assuming they have the rainforest and whatnot.
I don't know. I know that they have beaches just because
it's fucking massive.
I mean, they have like concerts on beaches.
And it's Brazil. If you just want to kick back and go to concerts, they have like apparently the greatest fucking crowd base, like fan. Like, I want to go to Brazil so fucking bad and see a show. Like, I've seen videos and heard about it. Like, it just sounds so fucking awesome.
The crowds are huge. Like,
I would love to see a show in Brazil. That'd be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's their thing, they're just going to go to shows now, right? So I don't know. Maybe we'll see him again. If not, well-deserved retirement for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully their tour ends very well, and hopefully they enjoy life after this.
Yeah. In any case, it was a really cool, fun evening, even though we didn't stay to the end. Can't always make it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we try.
We always try.
But yeah, this was a good time for sure. In any case, go check out some live music. You'll never know if you'll see that band again or if this is the last time you'll see them. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But just go check out live music, and we'll catch you at the next show.
Yep. Bye.